The question today. I went from this to this in this time frame. Let me tell you about how I've never been able to lose a single pound of weight in my whole life until I lost 70 pounds in 12 months using a GLP-1. It's true. I know people are hating on these things. Oh my God, they're up in arms. I started seeing a weight loss specialist, an actual MD who has a focus in obesity, because genetically speaking, this makes sense that I deal with this. Everyone on my mom's side who was female and is female struggles with this. So it's clearly a genetic thing, but of course there's other stuff wrapped in. And so finally, there was a moment, as many of us do in a weight loss scenario, you have a moment where you're like, I just can't do this anymore. And the moment for me was that I was aching all the time. This really became exacerbated during the pandemic. I gained a lot of weight. It was already on top of being overweight. And it was just like oh my gosh, that time period was so bad. I was in a terrible job. We had the pandemic, which low key, I got to be careful how to say this. It was not a great time in history, but for me, I had a lot of important realizations when everything stopped, right? A lot of them. But then 2-3 years after the pandemic was over, I was still now really dangerously, scarily overweight. And so I sought out this obesity doctor, which I had never done before, and I was very anti-medication. That my standpoint was like, no, I fully believe this can be solved with diet and exercise. And the doctor was like, she looked at my habits, she looked at what I'd been doing, she heard my story. It was really exceptional because that first meeting with her was like an hour long. I couldn't believe she took that amount of time. And she was like, okay, well, what in your diet and exercise routine are you not doing that you think you're going to add to be that one like magic piece that isn't there yet? Because I had been tracking macros all of those years. My activity had gone down, but I had picked it back up again. I was working out. I was doing all the stuff. I was doing the keto diet. I was crazily restricting the types of food that I was eating in hopes that, and nothing was working. She's like, you're the perfect candidate. At that point, I was in my early 40s, mid 40s. And so biology is just also working against me. And she was like, yeah, we're going to put you on, at that point, it was Mounjaro, which is a GLP-1 and a GIP-1. So instead of like the Ozempics of the world that focuses just on GLP-1, Mounjaro looks at 2 different hormones and in the first, I now take Zepbound, which is the same drug. It's just named differently because I don't have diabetes. In 12 months, I had never been able to really lose more than 5 pounds without completely starving myself. And that's all bad things. Like there was a time period where my hair was falling out, and that's when I was doing keto. It was bad. Like I've inflicted a lot of trauma on this poor little body with like different restrictive eating stuff. This drug was an absolute miracle. I lost quite literally 70 pounds in 12 months, which was actually pretty conservative for what the drug could do. And since then, I've maintained that weight loss, and I'm still losing a little more, just much more slowly, and with a little more effort on my part. That was the thing that was mind-blowing, was that first 70 pounds was without any different effort in what I had already been doing, because my diet, my exercise was already, actually, as it turned out, aligned and what I should be doing. Go figure that. So to all of the people who have been so anti GLP-1s, there are circumstances where I understand that I don't think they should be abused, and the people who run into trouble seem to be those that are of a pretty normal weight, and then they use them to become like skeleton skinny. That's obviously not my case. I am the person that these drugs were intended for. What an incredible relief. And they saved my health. I think in some ways they saved my life, not in like a crisis scenario, but in the long term. They really helped me sort through the stuff I was doing right that I should keep doing, that my body from a biological standpoint just was not responding to in the way that normally it should respond, right? And so I've been on Zepbound now for, I think I'm going on 3 years, or I just passed 3 years. I couldn't be happier. I have no symptoms that they talk about in short-term or long-term use. Sometimes I have a little bit of nauseousness, but that's my own fault because I'm not drinking enough water, frankly. And it has secondary effects as well. So it has cleared up a lot of skin issues that I was having, unrelated to, or I thought unrelated to all of this, but I think now I'm more convinced than ever that those are hormonally linked to whatever else was going on. And honestly, the biggest gain from that was the relief and the lessening of my stress around this problem, which felt intractable and like something I could not control. And all of a sudden, this drug gave me the chance to feel like there is some way to control this. There is an issue that I have. I don't fully understand it. There is a reason that my body does not respond only to diet and exercise as everybody says it should. I definitely I work out a lot, and literally I track my macros, which nobody really talks about as a tool, but I've been doing that for 10 plus years. It's crazy. So it has given me a lot of feeling of freedom, because now I don't feel so hopeless and chaotic and out of control with the situation. It feels like I have a little more control, and all of the work that I was putting in is actually working the way that it should. So I can talk for hours about this. That's how I did it. I went from, I'm not going to tell you the weights because that's still a little sensitive for me, but I went, let me put it this way. I now weigh essentially what I did in high school for the first time since high school. So it really kind of reversed a lot of the, just a lot of the damage that had been done over the years. I highly recommend. So if you want to talk about this, you're thinking about it, you've been thinking about doing it, I am not a doctor, but I'm happy to talk to you about my experience, because it has been A1. Highly, highly recommend in the circumstance that I am in, which is I was very, very overweight, and I needed to get back down to a category that was like just pretty overweight. So if you're in that scenario, give me a call, write a comment. I'm happy to talk with you about my experience. I can't give you a recommendation, but I would recommend, if you're in this situation, to talk to a doctor who is open to hearing with fair ears about where you are in your life, because it really did change mine, for sure.